Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion, it is my deepest honor and pleasure to welcome you to the high-level roundtable, Globalizing Compassion, a Moral Framework for Justice, Equality, Peace, and Sustainability. Before we begin, can I request us all to stand up? Can we hold hands? And can you all repeat after me? I am with you, we are together.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your Excellency President Khachaturian, Your Excellency President Chinchilla, Tawakkul, Kerry, Secretary General Martin Chungong, MR, Ambassador Isabel, Lisa Christine, Carlos, Ricky, Brian, and all of our esteemed guests. First of all, I want to thank our hosts and partners in this, the Permanent Mission of Monaco. We had a wonderful audience with His Serene Highness Prince Albert yesterday, and we are so grateful for all his warmth and support to our movement. I also want to thank FPCD, Claudia and her team, Muriel, I believe you're here somewhere, for all your help in putting this together. And last but not the least, I want to thank the best team in the world, the team of SMGC, all our rock stars out here and back home in India who have been working day and night, have not slept, I don't even know in how many nights. And they're the ones because of whom we are here today. Our founder, Nobel Peace Laureate Kailash Satyarthi, could not be with us here today because of his health. But I know that he is so wonderfully represented here by not only our esteemed speakers, our board members, Kerry, Gabriela, MR, but each and every one of us who's here today and believes in the power of compassion to change the world. Thank you. The world is burning. We have never been as rich, as powerful, as technologically advanced as we are today. Yet, wars, climate crises, complex injustices of all kinds are worsening. The numbers look horrendous. Only a fraction of the SDGs are actually going to be achieved, and 18% of them are actually regressed. 460 million children are living in conflict-affected areas. We have failed the children of the world. We were supposed to eradicate child labor by 2025. And guess what? Close to 140 million children are still living in slavery. Over 670 million people are experiencing hunger. And this is because of so many structural and systemic injustices. Conflicts. I myself traveled to the Ukraine border a couple of years ago. We've been to the Syrian refugee camps together, and we've seen the horrifying state of affairs and what happens and what wars and conflicts do to children. And the irony of the situation is that when we talk about the climate crisis, all the countries of the African continent, all of them, have a smaller carbon footprint than a tiny little island called the United Kingdom. That is the irony of the situation. And why is it like this? We are facing a crisis of morality. We have created systems and structures that favor power and profit, and not people and planet. The gap between the problem solvers, the people in positions of power, the decision makers, and those who are the worst affected is ever widening as we speak. The choice in front of us is very simple. Either we sit still and watch the world burn, or we actually do something about it. I know that all of you present in the room today are here because you know that things aren't working. You believe that we need a new approach to life, to leadership, to how we connect with each other, how we listen to each other, how we can actually remember to coexist on this planet. I know that all of you believe that we need not just knowledge and resources and not just good intentions, but we actually need action. We need urgency. We need moral courage. We need conviction, because the solutions are all there, right? All we need to do is sit down, decide that we want to take collective action. Why? Because the world burning is our problem. That starving child in Gaza is our problem. That little girl I saw crossing over from Ukraine to Romania, clutching her toy in her hand, she's our problem. And that, my friends, is compassion. Kailash Satyarthi says, compassion is the strongest force there is, because it emanates when we believe that somebody else's problem is our problem. When somebody's suffering is our own suffering. And we do whatever it takes to end that suffering. That is the power of compassion. Compassion fights for justice, for equality, for rights. Compassion is not a soft emotion. Compassion bridges the gap. It makes us look at each other as human beings again. It makes us listen to each other. And it makes us think mindfully and practically and solve a problem in a systemic manner. And that is why we launched the Satyarthi Movement for Global Compassion last year in March 2024. The response we've gotten all through the last year has been absolutely fantastic. We are creating something called the Satyarthi Compassion Quotient, which is a measure to not only evaluate, but actually enhance one's ability for compassionate action. It follows the framework of awareness, connectedness, feeling, and action. We have launched several education programs. We are so excited to tell you that we launched the first ever college course on compassionate leadership with Her Royal Highness Princess Sonam of Bhutan just last month. Yes, last month. We are embedding compassion in curriculum in schools and educational institutions. We got together a team of 15 Supreme Court judges to deliberate on the doctrine of compassionate justice, which means fast, fair, equitable justice with a focus on the victims. And we are so proud to say that we're now launching a training program for judges for all across India. And we want to hope to take it globally very, very soon. This year, we launched the Satyarthi Summer School, where 25 young change makers from 12 countries around the world came to India, spent time with us at Bal Ashram, which Kate was referring to is a rehabilitation center for freed child laborers who are compassionate leaders and the face of the movement. The summer school is ably represented by Carlos here and Alexandra, who are our young champions and leaders. There are several other things that are in the pipeline, but we really want to embed compassion in every walk of life, in policy making, in judiciary, in education, in teaching, in how we live and lead and connect with each other. All I want to leave you with is a little story, again, lifted very directly from our founder's Nobel acceptance speech. There was a fire that broke out in the jungle. All the animals were scrambling, running from pillar to post to save themselves. There was a little hummingbird that kept running, to the fire and back, to the fire and back, And the king of the jungle, the lion, asked her, "What are you doing? You're so silly." He was laughing at her. She said, "Look at my beak. There's a little tiny drop of water in it. This is my home, and it is burning, and I am going to do my bit." So we're calling upon all of you to find the hummingbird inside, to stand up, to take action, to join the movement. As our founder says, let us come together, let us globalize compassion and learn how to walk together. Thank you very much.